Today we'll be looking at COLAMY's newest chair, the Hina, and I'm really excited about this chair because it might actually be better than the COLAMY Atlas, which has really been my gold standard when it comes to office chairs under $300. The Hina stands out not only for its sophisticated design, but also its build quality and materials that honestly feel like they belong in a much more expensive chair. In this video, I'll be giving you my full review of the COLAMY Hina after testing it for the past few weeks. We'll dive into all the key features, highlighting everything I liked about the chair, as well as the things that I didn't like, so by the end, you'll have a clear idea of whether this chair is going to be the right fit for you. But before we dive in, I just want to mention that COLAMY did send me this chair for review, but this video is not sponsored. They have no input in this review, and all opinions are completely my own. That said, I will have some affiliate links in the description if you want to check the chair out. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into the review. When it comes to design, the COLAMY Hina really looks like a high-end chair. In my opinion, this is the best looking chair in COLAMY's lineup. It essentially looks like a more refined version of the Atlas with cleaner lines that make it look sleek and modern. The curved armrest integrates smoothly into the frame, creating this streamlined, almost futuristic look. The seat is also covered in this genuine leather upholstery, which adds a nice contrast between textures compared to the mesh backrest and the metal frame. The Hina comes in an all-black configuration, which gives it this nice uniform premium look. I think this design would fit well in pretty much any setup, whether it's a professional office environment, home office, or even a gaming setup. When it comes to materials and build quality, the Hina is definitely one of the best built chairs at this price point. It might even be better than the Atlas, which is saying a lot because the Atlas has pretty much been the pinnacle of build quality in this sub $300 price tier. The sleek metal frame and arms make it feel very premium. It also uses this heavy-duty single-piece metal and nylon base, which is pretty uncommon to see in chairs at this price point. Most budget chairs will either use a cheaper nylon base or a multi-piece base that you need to screw together to save on shipping costs. Now, one standout feature that really impressed me is the genuine cowhide leather upholstery on the seat. This is pretty much unheard of in a chair at this $300 price point. The leather feels soft to the touch and the stitching looks great. For the backrest, it uses the same exact mesh as the COLAMY Atlas. This is a more plastic feeling mesh that has good elasticity and feels like it'll hold up over time without sagging. Overall, the Hina feels incredibly solid with basically no rattling or wobbling at all. It honestly feels better built than many $500 chairs that I've tested. The metal components, leather seat, and high quality mesh all come together to create a chair that feels like it should cost twice as much as it does. Now let's talk about the actual comfort of the chair, starting with the seat. The Hina uses a dense foam pad that's pretty firm. Actually, the firmest seat in COLAMY's lineup. It's definitely a lot firmer than the Atlas, which is a more medium firm seat. And while I personally prefer firm seat pads because they tend to provide better support, I think some people may find this to be a bit too firm. That said, it does have some good give to it, and I found it to be very comfortable and supportive during long sitting sessions. The foam is high quality, and I haven't had any issues with bottoming out even after 8+ hours of use. The seat shape tapers off slightly at the edges, but is pretty flat in the middle, making the sittable area feel a bit more spacious than the Atlas. There are no hard frame edges, which is great if you're someone who likes to sit cross-legged or with one leg tucked under the other. The Hina has a seat pan depth adjustment feature that you can access by pulling the tab on the left side. It's easy and quick to adjust, which really helps accommodate people of different leg lengths. So as a rule of thumb, you want to be able to fit 2 to 3 fingers between the front of the seat and the inside of your knee for proper ergonomics. Now, because of the taper towards the back of the seat, you might be able to feel the back edge a little bit if you extend the seat pan out all the way, but it's pretty minimal in my experience. As I mentioned earlier, the seat is wrapped in this genuine cowhide leather instead of PU or PVC leather that you'll typically find in budget chairs. It's soft to the touch and really makes the chair feel premium. Overall, I really like this seat. I find it very comfortable even during long sessions. The only real thing you need to consider is its firmness. Now, while I personally find it very supportive, some people might find it too firm. I think the seat on the Atlas is a bit of a safer pick for most people because it's softer and gives a better balance between comfort and support, though it does feel a bit smaller in comparison due to the shape. Moving on to the backrest, this is probably the most comfortable backrest I've used out of any of the COLAMY chairs. In my opinion, it's even better than the Atlas backrest, though they're both really similar. It uses the same exact mesh as the Atlas. The mesh has good elasticity and conforms well to your back. I think it strikes a nice balance between elasticity and support. It's taut enough so that you don't really feel the hard plastic frame underneath, which is a common issue with many mesh backrests. At the same time, you can still sink into it a bit, so it doesn't feel too firm. Now, one thing to note about the mesh is that it's slightly coarse to the touch and can catch on loose woven clothing. Not a major issue, but definitely something to be aware of. Now, unlike the Atlas, the Hina does not have an adjustable lumbar support, but I personally think that this is a good thing. The natural curve of the backrest provides good ergonomic support on its own. Now, on the Atlas, I found the adjustable lumbar support to be just a bit too aggressive and pokey since it's made entirely of plastic with no padding. I actually think the backrest on the Atlas would be more comfortable if it didn't have that adjustable lumbar support, and that's basically what the Hina is. The frame design allows for good range of motion. I find that the taper shape allows you to really spread your arms out without crashing into the outer frame. Now, one unique unique thing about the Hina is that because of the way the backrest is connected to the frame, it kind of pivots. And because of this, when you really lean back and press your shoulders and upper back into the top of the backrest, the lumbar section actually kind of protrudes out a little bit. I actually find that this kind of prevents me from being able to slouch and promotes better posture. That said, one potential downside to this design is that there's always going to be a bit of play even when you lock the backrest upright. It's not a major issue, but just something to keep in mind. Overall, I really like the backrest on the Hina. Like I said, I think it's the most comfortable backrest out of all of COLAMY's chairs. It's just very supportive and breathable, and not having that pokey lumbar support like the Atlas is a huge plus for me. That said, I'm personally someone who doesn't really like aggressive lumbar support, so if you're someone who needs a more pronounced lumbar support, then the Atlas is probably going to be the better pick. When it comes to the recline, the Hina has a synchro tilt mechanism with a very smooth action and deep 137-degree recline angle, which is great for lounging. I really like the crank-like tilt tension knob on this chair. This implementation is similar to what you'll find in Headrest chairs. It's located on the side of the chair, so it's really easy to access while you're sitting. It's also very responsive. You can really feel the difference in tension after just a few turns, so it's really easy to make quick adjustments on the fly. Now, the Hina is the only chair in COLAMY's lineup that actually features a tilt limiter instead of a tilt lock. This means that you can't lock yourself in a reclined position. You get 3 backstop positions that essentially limit how far you can recline back, but you'll always be able to come back up from a reclined position rather than being locked into place. Now, I personally don't find the tilt limiter to be that useful. Now, I'm someone who typically doesn't like to lock my chair in place at all. I prefer to just have the recline fully open and adjust that tilt tension knob instead to allow me to sit either fully upright or recline if I want to. I find that this allows me to have the chair kind of hold me in a partially reclined position, which gives you that nice suspended floating feeling. Also, I did find adjusting the tilt limiter to be a bit clunky when trying to set it to the middle position. You kind of need to recline past a certain point before turning the knob to engage it. At first, I just couldn't get it to work at all, but after playing with it a bit, I got used to dialing it in and then didn't have any issues from then on. I think for most people, a normal tilt lock would be more useful, especially for lounging, because it allows you to stay in a reclined position without engaging any muscles. Now, it's not the biggest deal for me personally, because like I said, I don't like to lock my chair at all, but if you value being able to lock yourself in a reclined position, then you might want to go with the Atlas instead. The armrests on the Hina are 4D adjustable with height, width, depth, and pivot adjustments. The range of motion on these adjustments is pretty good, and they have decent resistance to them. I didn't have too many issues with accidental bumps, unlike the Atlas where the arm pads were just way too loose. The arms themselves are made from metal, which make them very sturdy with hardly any play at all. You can easily push off of them to shift positions or to get up out of the chair without any issues. When it comes to the arm pads themselves, they have a little bit of give to them, but are still on the stiff side. I do wish they were a bit softer to make them more comfortable when you really need to dig your elbows into them. Not the biggest deal, but definitely something to point out. One thing I really like about these armrests though is that they're actually connected to the backrest, which makes them recline back with you. This is a huge improvement over the Atlas, where there's a big gap between the arms and the backrest when reclining, which makes them awkward to use in certain positions. The headrest on the Hina is pretty much identical to the Atlas. It's 3-way adjustable with height, pivot, and depth adjustments. The adjustment ranges are generous, making it comfortable to use both in upright and reclined positions. You can also move it out of the way when you don't want to use it. It uses the same mesh as the backrest, which gives it a consistent look and feel, and is also very breathable. The headrest also holds its position really well, unlike many budget headrests that tend to slip out of place. It's also wide enough so that you don't have to worry about feeling the hard frame edges. Overall, this is definitely one of the better headrests I've seen on a sub $300 chair. It's really well designed, it's comfortable, and the adjustability lets you position it exactly where you need it. The COLAMY Hina is normally priced at around $300, but it often goes on sale for as low as $250. Be sure to look in the description because I'll keep it updated with coupon codes as I get them. At this price point, I think it offers exceptional value. You're getting a chair with premium materials, excellent build quality, and great adjustability options. For materials and build quality, you get a genuine leather seat, a metal frame and arms, a single piece metal and nylon base, and high quality mesh. And for adjustability, you get 4D adjustable arms, a 3D headrest, seat pan depth adjustment, and tilt limiter with 3 different positions. Now, these are features that you typically only see in chairs that cost twice as much, if not more. COLAMY also offers a 3-year warranty on the Hina, which is pretty good for a chair in this price range, but honestly, I think this chair can easily outlast its warranty just due to how well it's built. Overall, I think this is one of the best chairs I've ever used under $300, right up there with the Atlas. That said, I still think the Atlas is probably a safer pick for most people because it's just solid across the board in every category with no major compromises. I've noticed that after testing all of COLAMY's new chairs, they all excel in certain areas while making some small compromises in others, whereas the COLAMY Atlas is kind of like the jack of all trades. The Hina excels in its sleek design, high-end materials, and just overall good build quality. The trade-off is its firmer seat that some people might not like, a tilt limiter instead of a tilt lock, and the lack of an adjustable lumbar support. Now for me personally, these compromises aren't an issue, so I actually prefer the Hina. I find it very comfortable and really love the premium design and materials. So if you're interested in checking out the COLAMY Hina, I'll have links to it down in the description. Be sure to check the description because I'll keep it updated with the latest coupons to help save you some money.